Like right there in that picture of us crossing that street, I assure you, I can tell you what's happening in that picture by looking at it. It's early morning. We just woke up someplace. All our shit's wet. That's why the blankets are hung out over the side of the cart in hopes of them drying. Like that's a miserable morning right there.
Yeah.
That's what that is. We all slept somewhere together wet.
And you can just see from the body language. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody that was there with me the day I wrote this song on that bench, they were all dead.
I listen to you list that off, and it's like, ouch.
These were the three, right here.
Yeah.
Chops is right there,
there's
Anita's
Chops.
there, and there's Ronnie. Those were the three people on the bench with me. They're all dead.
Where did you get that big picture of Ronnie? That's beautiful.
So this is Empty Sidewalk, or something like this anyways. Playing for an empty sidewalk, staring at an empty case. It's probably for the best after all. I couldn't take another empty face. Everybody's going somewhere. They all got some place to be. They're all trying to be on time, while I'm just trying to be me. Playing for an empty sidewalk, not a nickel to my name. I'd like to tell you it's someone's fault, so I'll tell you I'm the one to blame. And everybody's going somewhere, but I get nowhere fast. I'd like to see something better for me, but that's probably already past. And I'd like to see some loved ones I ain't seen in a while. Maybe tonight, in my dreams I could smile, but now I'm playing for an empty sidewalk, wishing I was somewhere else. I'd like to make $1 tonight, but tonight this ain't what sells. And everybody's going somewhere, but I sit here all alone, playing for an empty sidewalk, the only place I call home. Playing for an empty sidewalk, feeling like an empty case. When I move on, the soul is song, another talent gone to waste.
Well, Reverend Jeffrey Logan, thank you so much for joining us to tell us a little bit about Grace Street Ministry and your work with them. We're long-term supporters of your organization, and I know many of the people who have been able to experience it up close are quite inspired by the work you do. And we just want to bring that voice a little closer to our congregation. So I've got some questions for you.
Great.
How is your work at Grace Street Ministry connected to your faith?
It has probably been the single biggest factor on sort of refining how my faith looks, because the beauty of the street is everything is really simple. And when you look at the story of Jesus, you see so many parallels between his journey and the journey of these people on the street. And we actually say in the service on Sunday, frequently, we are all quite convinced, not only where 2 or 3 are met in his name is he with us, which he is, but that if he comes back, he might very well be hanging out with us down at the park. And I always go back to the simple things that he said. Of all the commandments, there are 2. Love your neighbor as love your God, and love your neighbor as yourself. And if you can do that, we can transform this world into the kingdom of heaven.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you finding that COVID is affecting the homeless population?
It's affected them a great deal. Thankfully, we were really terrified early on that this community would get hammered by the virus itself, because boundaries are something they don't know how to spell or what it looks like. And, they tend to be kind of on top of each other. But thankfully, it's been spotty, but not too bad. But what's been really problematic is the closures, because the biggest day shelter, the Preble Street Resource Center, closed early in the pandemic. The library, where a lot of people could go, was closed. So that basically got rid of most of the bathrooms they had access to, as well as all of the showers and laundry facilities. So basically, other than caseworkers occasionally sneaking somebody into the old resource center, they had nowhere to go. At the same time, the overnight shelters capacity was cut in half from 150 to 75. And they started putting people out in motels, which was great in some sense, but with the isolation and the lack of oversight, some really, overdoses have skyrocketed. So it's been very disruptive, and we're looking at a winter without a day shelter, without the new shelter that they've approved on the outskirts, the new 40-bed wellness shelter that Preble Street is putting together has been slow walked by the city and probably won't open until February. So it's going to be a real challenge for this community, and I think for all of us. So thankfully, I thank you all so much from the bottom of our collective hearts for your incredible generosity, because without that, not only would we may not be able to go out in any way, shape, or form, but we can buy all the more warm things for all the people that need it, because they will be spending more time outside than they ever have. We can buy tons of Dunkin' cards so they can go get a cup of coffee, find a place to use a restroom, and get out of the cold. So thanks to folks like you, we're able to continue to do that. So we'll get through, but I'm a little bit terrified, frankly.
Can you tell us a story about how either hoodies or the Dunkin' Donuts card might be helpful to our homeless neighbors?
Oh, the Dunkin' Donuts cards. I mean, that's every time I arrive, it's like, pasta. I mean, Dunkin' cards, what's up? There was a guy who unfortunately has passed, as so many have in this community, but he took it one better. He'd come up to me and go like, "Hey, Pastor, are you running today? Are you running?" Which, if you know, the advertising slogan for Dunkin' Donuts is "America runs on Dunkin'." So I always try to save one in my wallet for him just because of his creative question. But that really does allow them to go to a place. We don't get Starbucks cards because I don't think they'd feel comfortable. But Dunkin's, they're not going to treat them terribly. And they'll be able to go and at least sit for 20 minutes to a half an hour. Hoodies, that's the most important article of clothing on the top because of the hood. People layer like crazy, but having something you can pull up on your head, put down, that's really hard to lose, unlike a hat, is just a marvelous thing to be able to give folks. So,
what else can we do to support your work or advocate for the homeless?
that's a really great question. What I can do, if you're amenable, is I can certainly let you know about statewide initiatives that you might be able to help with in
That'd be
terms of
great.
that kind of advocacy. Always appreciate prayers. One of the things that I think has not surprised me exactly, but how much prayer means to a segment of this population and how on the fly that happens. We have, I don't know if you can see this, but this is the cross that we wear.
Oh,
It's from
beautiful.
Ecclesia Ministries, and I really like it. And we give them away. We have hundreds of them, and anytime anybody asks us for a cross, we give them a cross, and it always comes with a blessing. So we say a simple prayer over that cross, addressing anything they may want to specifically, but also just asking God to be with them in their journey and for them to remember that no matter how dark it gets, the light is there.
Thank you.
It's kind of remarkable to do that as you stand in the drizzle on a street corner surrounded by blowing garbage, that really, there's the sacred right there in that simple human interaction.
Well, we will make a note to keep you and your staff and definitely our homeless neighbors in our prayers.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and for all you do on the streets on behalf of your Christian faith.
Well, thank you, Reverend Susan, and thank all of you for your incredible generosity and your willingness to listen. Not everybody wants to hear some of these stories. They can be a little bit daunting, but there is an incredible beauty there. And I will leave you with one last thing that I have learned in this community, which is, and I say this to them constantly, I have learned so much more from all of you than you could ever learn from me. So thanks.
sidewalk, feeling like an empty case. When I move on, the soul is song, another talent gone to waste.